Hey everybody, welcome to the Pendulum Show. This is episode 2 and my name is Yodhin.
And I'm Bamba. And thanks for listening in last week. Like we said, if you have any suggestions or thoughts on last week's episode, which was on PTPTN and student loans, please write into us at thependulumshow@gmail.com.
Yeah, okay, so thank you very much for listening to us last week. We're gonna start off this week's episode with our brand new segment called
Bangang of the week.
Bangang of the Week. Okay, Bamba, please present to our listeners what is the Bangang of the Week.
Okay, first of all, for anyone who doesn't know what bangang means, you are really bangang.
Bangang betul.
Bangang means dumbass or bimbo of the week, basically.
Yes, basically.
No insult meant to bimbos.
Bangang.
Alright, so basically we're going to give you like the dumbest story of the week, and this week we have a really good one. There was an article in Malaysia Kini today. The headline is Menteri Besar donates sacrificial cows. Bersatu Trio sells them to buy laptop and printer. So basically every year we have Hari Raya Korban. That's when Muslims sacrifice an animal. I think it can be a goat also.
Okay, that's not the point.
Okay, so the Menteri Besar of Perak, he decided to donate the cows to be sacrificed to the Bersatu Party division somewhere in Perak. And they were supposed to use the meat from the cow and distribute it to the poor. But instead they sold the cows because they wanted to buy a laptop and a printer. I think we should first appreciate, right, the scale of these scandals these kind of scandals has reduced a lot from the past. I think if you remember, like a few years ago, we had this national feedlot scandal.
Yeah.
So the government gave money to this guy to basically like rear a lot of cows, right?
Yeah.
And he sold the cows and he bought apartments in Singapore. So now at least like we're not buying apartments and flashy cars and jewelry.
Right.
At least we're just buying like laptops and printers.
Okay. So is inflation or is it standard of living that has gone up?
Gone down.
Gone down.
Right. So this actually happened last year, not this year. So he donated 3 cows. Apparently each cow is worth 15,000 ringgit.
He paid 15,000 ringgit per cow to buy one laptop and one printer.
I, for one thing, that we have been missing out on a fantastic business opportunity here. We should all leave the cities and rear cows. Like, did you know that they were worth 15,000 ringgit?
What are we doing here?
Here we are trying to start a podcast, hoping for sponsors to give us like $5 an episode.
We can't even get 50 listeners now. Why are you talking about sponsors?
We have your dad lah.
We have my dad.
Yeah, so this is a really dumb story. The guy the whistleblower lodged a report like 1 year later. He wanted to give them 1 year to rectify the issue. I do not know how they would have rectified the issue. Like, how does it work? Do you like return the laptop and get your cow back?
I don't know. Why have we moved back in currency?
Yeah, so the Menteri Besar, his solution is that this year is going to be much more accountable. Instead of 3 cows this year, he's donating 5 cows to the division. So I like to see where this goes.
Making it rain. Are these holy cows then? Are they still holy cows if they're being used as commodity now?
I don't know. I don't know how it works actually. Like, they're live cows. How do they even sacrifice them? Maybe he felt sorry for the cows. He's like, instead of killing all 3 cows, maybe someone will appreciate the cow more. And he gave it away.
Okay, fine. Speaking from appreciation, right, Bamba? Can you please tell the audience what is our main topic of the day?
So our main topic of today is Khat.
Khat.
No, it's Khat. It's Khat.
But it's pronounced Khat.
It's pronounced Khat. But there's
Yes.
a K in there. What is the K in there for?
I don't know. Okay, I don't know.
Okay.
I
first
just
of all,
read the news and just tell the people what I hear. Okay.
I did not even know what Khat was until this week.
I know.
Khat, whatever it is.
What the Khat lah? Okay.
Yeah, I thought that it was just Jawi, honestly. Like, can you tell me what Khat is in the first place?
Okay, so Khat is basically an expression. Okay, it's an artistic expression of the Jawi script. Okay, Jawi is not a language, Jawi is a script. So Khat is an stylized version of that script.
Yeah, okay, fine. So, from what I understand, the issue right now is that they taught this in Bahasa Jawi class in high
Yes,
school and
yeah.
in primary school. It's a primary and secondary education, it's a subject.
Yeah.
But now the Ministry of Education wants to add it into the syllabus for Malay. So the Malay subject, everybody takes Malay, obviously, it's the national language, right?
Yes.
And it's going to be a part of the year 3 syllabus or year 4.
Year 4.
It's going to be a
It's
part
alre-
of the year 4 syllabus.
Yeah, it's already mandatory for year 5. It's been introduced since 2015. So right now there's uproar between many factions within society, right? Because it's also going to be introduced during year 4. Although being a small part of the syllabus, it's going to be about what, Abamba?
It's going to be 6 pages in a 160-page textbook.
Yeah.
That's it. 6 pages.
Yeah, but then this, even though it seems small and minute at the moment, right? But this has caused controversy of many, many levels for many, many different kinds of people, okay? So, Bamba, we're going to talk about the kinds of issues that Khat or Khat brings up.
Right. So, it has been there before, but they've sort of expanded it just a bit. So, it's not just knowing about Khat, it's also that the students have to be able to recognize the alphabets and pronounce them and write simple phrases or simpulan bahasa. And this is what's been objected to right now, because it's not just happening in the national schools, it's also happening in the Chinese and Tamil schools, because the syllabus is all set by the Ministry of Education. And the opposition is mainly coming from the Chinese school establishment, like the Dongzong has made a big protest about it. There's also been protests from MCA. There's been some uproar from DAP lawmakers who have submitted memorandum on this. And they view it as a sort of creeping Islamization being imposed upon non-Malays.
Yes.
And the reason for that, obviously, is that Khat, the writing, and Jawi, the writing system, is descended from Arabic.
Yes.
It's a superset of Arabic. It was modified to suit the Malay language, but it's viewed viewed as part of Islamic identity in this country.
Yeah. But, okay, so now that we've gotten the true facts of it, right? Jawi is a script. Khat is an artistic expression of that script. Okay, so it is not a language. So the bigger issue right now, well, one of it is that it involves identity, right? It involves us talking about the Malay identity, because it is by extension identity of the Malay language, and therefore also the Malay identity, right? So why is it that now we are actually talking about this? Why now?
First of all, this policy came in from the previous government.
Yeah.
It was decided a few years ago. It's just being implemented now, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, why are they doing all this in the past few years?
Yes.
One thing you notice in Malaysia right now is that different groups feel that their identity is under threat from each other.
Definitely our identity is being under threat.
You know, when we had a Chinese appointed as the finance minister,
Yes.
there was like a blowback, right? Like,
Yes.
can he represent the interests of the Malays?
Yes.
And the same thing, you know, when the chief justice was a non-Muslim,
Yeah.
there was the same questions. And there's always talk about how a non-Muslim cannot be prime minister and so on, because it's viewed as creeping upon Malay interests, number one, but in a larger sense on their identity as a whole.
Yeah.
And it's not just under threat from the other communities, it's also under threat from globalization, Western values, and Western culture. And it is a bit like a slap in the face to some people that the language which they are so proud of uses an alphabet which is not their own. Yeah, so I think that's playing a big part in the whole controversy right now. And you can even see it in the politics of this, right?
Yeah.
Because even though UMNO and PAS are not in the government,
Yeah.
they are supporting the government's policy to implement Khat. And they
Right.
and you see them uniting with the Malay parties in power to oppose DAP, which is seen as a Chinese party.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's basically how it's playing out right now.
Right. Okay, so well then that's one. Why should we as non-Malays learn this?
Yeah, so I think that first of all, it's got nothing to do with Islam, right?
Yeah.
We see it as having something to do with Islam because it's used in the Quran and so on.
Yeah.
But actually, the Arabic script itself predates Islam.
Correct.
It was already there
Mhm.
when Islam emerged.
Yeah.
So and it's got less to do with religion for Malay culture than it has to do with their heritage.
Yeah.
It is the main writing system for the language, or it was until the Western colonialists arrived in Malaya. It was used in all kinds of documents. It was used in inscriptions. It was how people communicated with each other before the British, the Dutch, and the Portuguese arrived in Malaya. So we cannot deny that it's a part of Malay identity, and it's a very important part of Malay identity. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes, okay, fine. At the end of the day, yes, I do agree. Of course, I do. I have to agree. It is pure fact, right? How the Malay language developed was based on Khat, right? And that cannot be disputed. That is the fact. And why, as to we have to learn it, I guess I sort of get it. But essentially, the bigger issue at hand is, right? It involves our education system, right? And the priorities that they have set for. Okay, fine. If you want to preserve your identity, I'm fine. That's your prerogative, right? That's your right. But right now, it is impacting people of all races, of all cultures within our federalized educational system. So right now, we just go straight into it. Okay, with culture aside, Bamba, are you for this implementation?
I personally am, because it is very limited. You don't have to learn how to write a whole essay in it. You don't even need to learn how to write a whole sentence. You just spend a small part of one schooling year learning about this language, this writing system for a language which is used in day-to-day communication. All of us need to know Malay, and it will help us to appreciate Malay more if we understand where it came from, if we understand the history of Malay a bit better. I mean, these kind of writing systems were adapted for Malay, and the Roman alphabet which we use right now, right, is called Rumi in Malay. It is not that well adapted to Malay. It has had to have changes over time because it was sort of imposed by Westerners upon us without sort of respect for or understanding of the language itself. Just like 20-30 years ago, they changed a lot of our spellings, right?
Yeah.
Because the alphabet was not that suitable. So
Right.
So in that sense, it's important. Number one, in terms of understanding the history of the language and appreciating it. In a second sense, I think it is important because it helps us to understand Malay culture better on a whole, and it's a good thing to understand each other's culture. It's a good thing to have to deepen our understanding of each other's history and heritage and traditions. It helps us to relate to each other better.
Okay, fine. Can you honestly tell me that 6 pages, right, out of 162 pages of a textbook effectively help me understand a language and therefore culture better?
All right. Yeah, I mean, 6 pages is pretty limited, and I doubt that anybody will remember any of it when they graduate from 5.
Yeah.
It's just an introduction. If the argument is that they should understand it even better, if they should learn it even more, we can talk about that in future. But the fact is, at this moment, we have no exposure to it at all in our national syllabus for Malay. So I think it is a good starting point, and we can look at the effects of it, see how effective the policy is, and then decide where to go with it next. That's my opinion.
Okay, fine. So, me on the other hand, I am against this implementation. I purely believe that it is a waste of time. I am not disrespecting the writing form as as culture or the Malay language in that extension. I'm not. But I just feel there's too much emphasis on this right now, or maybe that's because there's just so much of controversy now that has forced me to think this way. But if it was supplemented with other things that was introduced into our other syllabus, maybe I would have been okay with this.
So
but,
you mean about other cultures? Maybe.
Yeah, even that. But I feel because essentially our education minister, right, Mazli, he was appointed to do two things. He was appointed to transform our education system into a world-class one and also promote national unity through education. Right now, because of the controversy that's exploded from this, without any sort of real information given out as to how it's properly going to be implemented, right? And because it's 6 pages, I cannot foresee it being of any substantial value. So, because this was one of the main things of the agenda they're going to implement within our education system, I am not for it because I just don't see how effective is it.
Yeah, I think that is the best argument against it. That is too limited to have any real impact on on these students. But the idea of it, in my opinion, the basis of it is good. Perhaps they need to think about introducing it in a later year, for example, when the students can absorb it better. Because there's lots of things that we learn in school which we will never use in our careers, in our daily lives. You know, you learn biology, for example, and then you go and do a law degree. All of that information becomes irrelevant to you, right? But the purpose of it is to sort of pique your interest in these topics. And if you find that this is something that interests you, maybe you will pursue it in the future. So in that sense, it's valuable. It's just like all these Europeans who study linguistics. They study Asian and African and Native American linguistics and writing systems, right? And some of them take a deep interest in it and study it and make a career out of it. Out of the millions of students who go through our national schooling system, I'm sure that there will be some who find it valuable.
That's great. Then, but why make it mandatory? If you make it an option, why can't the students just make the choice for themselves? Why must their curiosity be forced upon them? Because chances are, I have asked 4 of my Malay friends, I have 4 Malay friends, and I've asked them, what is their opinion on Khat? 2 out of 4, 50%, didn't even know what the Khat it was.
I guess that this sort of answers your own question, right? Because the lack of knowledge about this is a reason that no student would take an interest in it of their own initiative, right? Or most students wouldn't be interested in it on their own initiative. They wouldn't choose to learn it. But there are lots of things that we learn in school which we wouldn't choose to learn.
But I have to say, these 2 people that said they didn't even know what it was, didn't study it. But the other 2 did. And then I proceeded to ask them, did it benefit you in any way? Are you applying it in your daily life today? They said no. Was it a waste of time for them? Fuck it, yes it was.
Yeah, but when you're dealing with such a big number of students, there will be some who will find it useful. I'll give you an example, right? Let's talk about non-Malays, how it may be useful for non-Malays. So if you want to study other religions, for example, you can do degrees in that, right? Like comparative religion and so on. So you want to learn a bit more about Islam, you need to go back to the scriptures and writings on Islam, right? And those are written in Arabic, right? So for them it may be useful. That's one example. And overall, I don't like the idea of just learning something because we know it will be useful to us in the future. There are lots of things that we explore and study without knowing the utility of it. We should just pursue knowledge for its own ends and see where it leads us.
I am all for learning for the sake of learning because it is good. I mean, there's a philosopher that says that even all knowledge that you learn can be actually useless. Right? But the thing
Who is this philosopher? I'd like to meet him.
I cannot for the life of me remember who the hell this philosopher was.
I hope his name is not Yodhin Kumar Sivapatam.
If I truly believed it was, would I be doing this fucking podcast?
Carry on.
No, but the point is, I'm all for learning for the sake of learning. It is good. But why Khat? Why can't it be other things being put first? Why is the education ministry putting this as a precedent over anything else? Why can't we be learning about things like coding, things like maybe even can we fix our fucking textbooks or not? Can we fix our current history textbooks? Why add more to the rubbish?
I think that you're right. Like lots of things are missing from the syllabus. And it needs to be improved. In all the subjects, not just Malay, history, science, maths, all of it everybody agrees that there's problems.
Yeah.
If there is any kind of value to adding this to the syllabus, then we should just view it as being valuable by itself. We shouldn't view it as either or. Like, we can do this and we can do other things as well. Like, just because we're making improvements here in the Malay syllabus doesn't mean that other improvements cannot be made in other subjects. Like, these are, to me, it's two separate issues.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, fair. It's just that I just feel like it's a waste of time to introduce this as mandatory now. I just feel that we're not addressing the bigger issues within education, and that's what bothers me the most.
Yeah.
Actually, because for us to, in terms of culture, I feel that we definitely should appreciate each and everyone's culture because it is essential to us as a nation. I mean, we pride ourselves on being so diverse, right? And I completely get that. I even get the whole social cultural value of learning and gaining new knowledge for the sake of learning. But is it what our country truly needs at this point? Is has for our education?
Well, maybe you have a point in terms of priorities. Like, there are other things which need to be improved as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. But still, if we can agree that there is some value to it, or if we can appreciate that there is a bit of value to adding this to the syllabus,
Yeah.
It's already been done.
Yeah.
The syllabus has already been studied and thought out.
That's another thing. The syllabus, right, is 6 pages out of 162 pages textbook. No.
Yeah.
Yeah. Correct. So 6 out of 162. How effective is it in terms of increasing my appreciation for the language?
Yeah, that's also fair. I think that if they want to do this, maybe they should do it in a later year when students can appreciate it a bit more, understand it a bit more.
Can you actually tell me what you learned in Standard 4? Can you do you remember, what was something unique that you learned in Standard 4 that you can remember until now?
I learned that when you hit a girl with an exercise book, sometimes she gets a paper cut.
What? Who is this? Why are you doing this to girls? This is another issue,
I was a bit toxic as a
Oh my god!
as a primary school student.
Why didn't I do background checks, lah? Oh my god!
So this might be my last week on the Pendulum show.
This might be our last episode, lah. I don't know how to do this without anyone else.
Yeah, but you're right. Maybe year 3 is not the best time to do it. Mm-hmm. But I definitely think that it is valuable. History, I like history, and I think that that many people don't even know that there was a writing system before our Roman alphabet for Malay.
I agree. There are a lot of dumbasses that we have. I mean, I am a dumbass. I didn't know what the fuck it was.
Yeah,
but I am not Malay. Am I excused?
Well, the fact and we have to live with each other more and more, right? Because people are moving to the cities and we are interacting with other races more frequently. And I think that there is to an extent, Malays and Chinese and Indians sometimes don't take the effort to learn about Malay traditions or to learn about their culture, art and language. How often do we use Malay? Our Malay has after SPM, after Form 5,
I can't fucking construct the proper sentence in Malay lah.
Yeah, and if we want to live together, we need to understand each other. So in that sense, it is valuable, and they should do it more effectively. So I would agree with you there that 6 pages in a textbook in Standard 4 doesn't do that much. But
okay, fine.
Okay,
but what?
I think that we're missing the bigger issue.
Okay, which is?
The bigger issue is that the Education Ministry has decided that this is going to be a part of the syllabus, right?
Yeah.
And now, all the thousands of schools in Malaysia have to implement the syllabus without any say. You know, what's happened in this country is that everything has become so centralized that the federal government in Putrajaya determines everything for everybody. The local people in Petaling Jaya have no control over what's being taught to their kids in their schools. And I think that's the bigger issue.
That is true. That is a big issue.
Yeah, it is. I think that the real problem is with the education system as a whole, the way it works. That parents right now don't really have a say in how their schools are run, in who the principals and teachers are, in what the syllabus is. What we have turned the education system into is a propaganda machine, right?
Yeah.
Like Khat is actually a benign example of this. Like, think about all the useless subjects which we learn, like moral studies,
Oh my god, that
Yeah,
was okay, that was a waste of time lah. That was a waste of time.
like, okay, so if anybody is not Malaysian and listening to our podcast, moral studies is basically a subject which non-Malays take, where we learn about 30 moral values,
I guess.
30, 25, something
I
like
don't
that. And the
know.
way we learn about it is
And
by
how many do you have now, Bamba?
that's between God and
Okay.
yeah, and basically the way we learn about it is we memorize the definitions for all these moral values, and then we regurgitate them in an exam, and it is a compulsory subject, and it's considered for university entrance and scholarships.
Oh my god.
Is the most ridiculous thing that anyone learns anywhere on the planet. I guarantee you.
Yeah.
And we have no choice in it, right?
No.
Yeah, we have no choice because it's all dictated at the federal level. It's dictated in Putrajaya.
Yeah.
So I think that we should think about decentralizing it, Like, what would you think about, for example, the states running the schools in their own state? The state government should have control, maybe. Or maybe it should be the towns and the people who have control over what is taught in their schools. Maybe that's the way forward here.
But okay, I mean there are definitely pros and cons to this. I mean if you were to give it to the towns or the states, right? There's no guarantee of a uniform syllabus that will be educated or passed down to our kids and to our future students, right? So then there is no telling as to what they know and whether they can even progress in the workforce, because there's no telling what these people actually know. So I get the point of a federalized uniform syllabus that is set by one body and implemented across all, but again, like these issues, these subjects that are broadly just being decided by one group of people in a place that is supposed to represent everybody, apparently makes all the calls, which is not exactly the right way either. But I get the point of trying to make it more uniform so that everyone, at least on a basic level, has the basic understanding of certain subjects like your sciences and your maths and your English.
Okay,
etc.
if that's the case, right?
Yeah.
Does our education adequately prepare students for university life and for the workforce? The way it stands right now, if you're talking about guaranteeing a good education for everybody, right?
Yeah, okay.
Is this have we really been able to do this
No,
by
no.
federalizing the
No, of course not.
the
Of course
education
not.
system?
Of course not. These people that actually make these calls have not done a good job in
And they do not
implementing it.
even consult when they make these changes. That's
They
a
do not.
big
They do
issue. I think that if you gave it back to the people, right?
Yeah.
If you gave it back to the states, municipalities, districts, and so on to
Yeah.
run it themselves, then you will have more kind of competition, more competition, because first of all, they can learn from each other. Second of all, places which implement better policies, they will have better performing students who will do better in university and in the workforce, and it creates an incentive to improve the education systems in each place. So that is one argument. Maybe a way of going about it is that the government can set certain requirements for education in the country and leave it to locals to decide how they're going to meet these requirements and expectations. Would you see that as a solution?
That is a good option, I feel. Maybe as long as there is some standard foundation across all subjects, or maybe across the most fundamental subjects being taught in terms of actual applicable knowledge in the workforce, like maths and English.
Yeah.
I guess maths and science and English. So yeah, I do agree with you on that. That is a good point. So do you think that is the most ideal solution into fixing this?
To me it is the ideal solution, because we avoid having a national scandal every time a little part of a textbook is changed, and this is just the latest scandal. This is just the latest controversy. Remember when they added the book Interlock into into the BM syllabus? So this was a book which had the word Paria referring to Indians, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was an issue because everybody had to learn about this book. Everybody had to read this book.
Yeah.
So we would kind of minimize and reduce the scale of these controversies. But I don't think it's going to happen because nobody is talking about it in these terms. Nobody is talking about taking back control over education in the country. They're all talking about what the government needs to do, about what the government needs to do about the syllabus when they, without considering that maybe they should take the responsibility back upon themselves.
Okay, what about this, right? Because it's broken up into so many different levels of government that's in charge of education, right? How can you ensure efficiency between all of them? Like, would each state, okay, be granted the same level of funding, the same level of teachers? Will schools even be uniform? You can't tell, right?
Yeah.
Because even the level of schools, the different kinds of schools that are available in each state are so different, and the number of it is so different. So how can we, if we were to go to that model, right, how efficient will that be?
I think that we need to take like a step-by-step approach, like slowly give more control to the states and to cities and towns and villages, and it can be small things, like choosing a principal or maybe control over the school facilities, for example, and then we can learn and build from there, because we are so used to the system that we have. Since independence we have had this system, right, of centralized education. So it's going to take a long time to shift even the mentality, the mindset of the people.
Is this a trademark of a developed nation? Do you think this will be a stepping stone into making our education a world-class one, and as a developed nation?
I think it is, because there's almost like no incentive right now to improve the system with relevant syllabus. The purpose of the education system, it seems to be to further the political goals of the party that's in power. This happened under UMNO, right? This happened under Barisan Nasional. We were learning about One Malaysia in our syllabus. And it's naive to think that just because we have a new government now, that the same thing wouldn't happen over time. Like if Pakatan stays in power for 50 years, we would be in the same place, honestly. So take away the power from Putrajaya and let people learn from each other, let the systems develop independently, and we will see what works best and what doesn't, and that's how we can have a world-class education system, in my opinion. But you're right, there are issues like with funding. Will the poorer states have enough teachers and facilities and funding? All of these things need to be addressed, obviously. But
Exactly.
But we need to start talking about,
I guess
how
the
much
conversation
power they
has to
have.
start somewhere, I guess, because essentially this group of people that determines the future of education, I don't think they're cutting it lah. Okay, so essentially the conclusion is that although this controversy divides amongst various kinds of people, but we have to understand what is the priority right now for everyone. Who is making these decisions essentially, and how do we actually improve on it? Right?
So it is an important cultural issue, but the bigger issue is, like you said, who's making the decisions. And if we don't start talking about that, we won't be able to solve the larger problem in the education system.
I agree. This a lot of people maybe can agree that the introduction of Khat is sort of a distraction in a way.
Or it is a symptom of a problem. The controversy itself is a symptom of the problem in our system.
Yes, exactly.
Which is too much power in this education ministry and in Putrajaya.
Yes, without the proper consultation of any other group of people.
So I think that the takeaway here maybe is that we need to start talking about deeper issues instead of just this part of the syllabus or that particular subject. People need to start coming up with new ideas about how to totally reform our education system, and that's the only way we can get to a world-class education system from year 1 to form 5.
Okay, so that about sums it up for today. Thank you so much for listening to the Pendulum Show.
If you have any suggestions or thoughts about what we've talked about today or our topic from last week, please write in to us at thependulumshow@gmail.com. And hopefully we'll be back here again with you next week.
Okay. Thank you very much.